I didn't have
I'm
the
not
internet. I
trying to make a
mean,
joke there.
we we had AOL was just coming up online. You know, you get the disc in the
Yes.
mail and you try it out. And funny you should say that, but I did have somebody and I paid them, I can't remember, $450 or something like that. And they built me a website and it was horrible. I mean, it looked like it was built on Microsoft Word. But I got a couple of calls, but they were from all around the country. I mean, it was a guy from New York City that wanted to get an estimate on their roof, and I'm like, I'm in Minnesota. I know. So I mean, this was very, very early time, but yeah, I did have a website for a year, and it did me absolutely no good. So I think I just
Taking it down.
canned it after
So
that.
so at the time there was so even if you'd had Roof Quote Pro at the time, would that have made any kind of an impact? I guess there wasn't enough traffic. There wasn't enough people looking on there.
It's, but again, and this is what John was talking about again earlier too. It's you have to. So there's two different things that are happening right now, and this is one of the reasons I love this job and I love this question. I love this conversation because there are two different adoption points that are happening right now with instant estimation and this. And the first adoption is by the roofing companies. You know, the roofers have to look at this and they're scared of a few different things. They're not sure they want to be transparent with their pricing on their website for a variety of reasons. And we learned this at Roofing Insights when he had Marcus Sheridan on stage. You know, you have I don't know if I want my competition to see my price. And I certainly think that there's some complexities to what I do, my goods and services, that I don't even know if I can accurately give you a price because it's so complex. And the third of which is even if all those things were not a big deal to me, I am scared that my consumer, my potential customer, is going to see that price and be scared off. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Anytime the industry moves to a price transparency, certainly on a website, you're going to be faced with those challenges. And that's what's happening in the roofing industry. So we have this adoption rate that is stifled right now in the roofing industry as roofers are looking at this and going, this is different. This is new. I don't know if I want to go there. That's not the way that I do business. But that's also the catch. And that's what we were talking about too, is that I get it. That's not the way you do business, but how does your consumer make buying decisions? Those are two different questions. Now, even if I had a very upfront, very easily accessible, amazing website that had an instant estimator in 2003, the fact of the matter is that's not how buyers 20, 30 years ago made decisions. They're not going to trust the computer as much as they trust their friend or neighbor or somebody that right because that's where the value lies. That is what it's changing and has changed, and why instant estimation, this is probably the perfect time to get into instant estimators and understanding how that relates to your business, because not only are roofing companies accepting that this is the future, they are understanding that now a third, getting close to a half of their consumer base is demanding this. This is how they make decisions. So yeah, I don't think it would work, not just because we didn't have computers, but because that's not how they made buying decisions back then.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Um, and you bring up some great things here that I want to touch on because these are sort of the pushback that you're getting from roofing contractors. It's talking about the competition, the scaring customers, and then also like how do you ensure accuracy when this is such a complex process? So I want to kind of go through those one at a time. Let's start with with the competitors. Like, what is your answer to that? Is there something that Roof Quote Pro does to help sort of make it hard for competitors to see what your pricing is through Roof Quote Pro, or do you guys just have something that you tell customers like, hey, it's not something to worry about? What's your approach there?
Well, so there's two. Let's break contractors into two buckets while we answer some of these questions, because it does change a little bit. It doesn't, but it does, right? So if you're storm restoration, guess what? You're all working off the same price sheet anyway. You got to be kidding me. Yeah, everybody has exact mate. You know exactly where you're at, where the carrier's at, and where your competition's at. I mean, there's not much more for you to learn about how to price a project. I mean, y'all are working off the same price sheet. but it's very similar in the retail side of things. And I know there's there's a bigger variation from one contractor to another when it comes to retail, but you can't tell me that you don't already know where your competitor is and that they know where you are. Like you know each other's prices because you've been competing for years against each other. And so that one is actually a pretty easy one for people to understand and go, yeah, I kind of know where, XYZ roofing company is and Peach State Roofing is. I mean, I've come across them enough that I know where they're at, and everybody already kind of knows each other's pricing
Yep.
generally. So to see it on a website,
we don't
it's not
even
really cool.
try. We don't even try. We never, ever, ever ask for like the other estimates ever. And we know, like, if you don't know, you're just not even paying attention. You know where everybody else is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really at the end of the day, it's not really a serious concern. Totally makes sense.
I don't think it is. And I mean, it's a reason to reject, the idea of making, putting it on your website, but it's not really a big of an issue as people think.
That makes sense. What about the argument of, I don't want to scare my customers. I need to be at their home. I need to see their roof so I can break down to them exactly why it's this cost before they see any numbers. If they go on their website and they just fill out their address, they're going to get scared off.
Yeah. And man, I mean, there is a little bit of a complexity to that, the answer to that question, because again, feel the helplessness of the consumer in that situation. They did their roof 8-10 years ago. It was $8,000. And now it's suddenly $15,000 and $18,000. Like there's a helplessness and and kind of a blindsiding that happens because they've been left behind of what's been happening in the industry. Nobody's paying attention to the roofing industry outside of roofers. So, when customers are scared away from the price, it's not like they're scared away from you or they're scared away from, being gouged. That's not the issue. The issue is they need information. And if you're unwilling to give them information and allow them to be scared in that moment, then they're not going to trust you with your brand and your value proposition either. So that's another one of those that you have to be very careful about. Are they really scared? And if they're scared, what are they scared of and why are they scared? And how can I alleviate their fears while also building that trust with them and saying, here, I know this looks weird. You had it was 8,000 a few years ago. It's 15 now, but you're also doing that in a matter of seconds, not hours, which again goes back to the, giving the homeowner what they need to make a wise decision, but also not wasting your time or being a huge bottleneck within your business where you're sending somebody out to have those conversations. You're actually getting that done on the front end instead of the back end. John could probably talk about that